All right, ready to go for a ride? Let's fire this up and go for a ride. Put on my seatbelt so no one gives me a hard time about safety. All right, let's roll. First thing you're going to notice about driving a Celica GTS Turbo Coupe compared to a stock one is torque. Now the torque rating on this engine originally I think was around 135 horse or 135 foot-pounds of torque. I think the 85 stock 22Rs were around 115 horsepower. So when I got this done and I started to drive it around, the first thing I noticed when I rolled on the throttle was, wow, the torque. So I think this engine's around 170, 185, something like that. I believe it's probably in that ballpark, but you notice the torque. It's real good. Torque is real nice. And with 390 gears, it gets up and rips pretty good. Now, I will say this, if you've driven a stock Mark II Supra 5-speed, and I've driven a lot of them, I've owned 10 of them, automatics and manuals, I can tell you that this car, without a question, is as fast or faster than a Mark II Supra with an inline-6 in it. But Toyota couldn't build this car. You know why? Because this was an economy car for Toyota. These effing seat belts. I hate seat belts. I know it's a law, but I hate them. Always kind of restricted me. Keep me from flying out if I roll it over, which I'm not. Anyway, what I was saying was, I think it's at least as fast, or faster, than a stock Mark II 5-speed. But Toyota couldn't build these cars. In Japan, we got those things. Or they got those things in Japan. I know they put MR2 engines in these. They put turbo engines in these. But, you know, in the United States, because of emissions and baloney, the Japanese got all the cool stuff. And their deal was when the emissions expired, the car had to get off the road and you paid a lot of taxes, from what I gather about Japanese emissions. But, long story short, we didn't get them. We just got this. And you know what? If this was for sale, because this car could have sat right next to the Mark II Supra. But that wouldn't have been very good if their Celica, which was their economy sports car at the time, would have been tromping all over a Supra, which was their halo car. You wouldn't want that. But I think if Toyota would have built these another year, they could offer it as an option, because if you know, if in 1986 they went to a Mark III Supra, that thing was turbocharged, and this wouldn't have been able to beat that. I don't know, you know, what are you going to do? It's just the way of the play. But I'll tell you what, I've owned a bunch of these cars, and the hatchbacks, even including my Supra, they rattle and they make noise. Because it's a coupe, it's got a pretty decent sized trunk, but it's got a smaller piece of glass, nothing rattles, everything's tight. There's no sunroof, so you can definitely tell that the car is stiffer, which is awesome. And you can tell a woman took care of it. Now, I can't say that for all women, but what I can say is that this woman cared for this car. She didn't crap up the mats, you know, not even a heel even wore a mark in the floor mat. You want to talk about getting up and going, it gets up and goes pretty damn good. It sounds good too. All the gauges work the way they're supposed to. Like I said, this is just you bolt it in. In fact, I even kept the original Toyota truck clutch, so the clutch is a little heavier. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be alright, but it's a stock engine, so why would the stock clutch not work? Now, after a while, I drove it. I didn't really care for it, so I ended up putting a brand new, well, I think, no, I did. When I bought this car from this guy in Pittsburgh, another Pittsburgh guy, I the engine. He gave me a brand new radiator. He gave me the factory repair manual, which I have, that goes with the car. I had to buy the wiring schematics for the turbo truck in order to do this. He gave me a brand new center force dual friction clutch, which I put in another Toyota I did at the time, but I really wanted to keep this as much as Toyota original as possible. That's why I kept the original Toyota clutch. It is a little heavier. You can definitely tell if you've driven these before that it has a heavier clutch, but because of all the extra torque and power, not that I think it would slip, but who knows, for nostalgia reasons, I guess. But yeah, fun, absolutely fun. And it has its Toyota 22R tick. Oh, I think the intake on number 3 cylinder ticks a little bit. I've adjusted it. It gets quiet, but you hear it a little tiny bit, but it don't get in the way of how it runs. 'Cause it runs. It'll keep on pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. Man, you can get up and rock and roll. It really does rock and roll. I only revved out to 4 grand, but that's the thing about these engines. I have owned another one in the past, and I put one of these engines in a 76 liftback Celica. They're worth a lot of money now. But it was not as nearly as fun as this car, because that thing had a steering box and it was just not as fun. It was cool though. Sold that probably 10, 12 years ago, maybe even longer than that. It was, I think I got like $5,000 for it back then. Hell, those cars now are, 10, 15 grand depending on the condition of them. So this to me is kind of like 80s 911s, where the 70s 911s got so expensive you couldn't afford to buy them. Now at least a working average guy like me could afford to buy them. But then everybody turns their heads and starts looking at the 80s 911s, and they're fun. My mom and dad own one of them almost since new, and I'd like to get my hands on it and make a video of it for you. They've got it squirreled away in a garage. It's been driven very, very, very little since the 90s. Black, tan interior, 5-speed Targa roof with a whale tail. Fun car. My parents let me drive it a couple times in all the years they owned it. It rips pretty good. I wouldn't throw it out of bed. ratio for highway driving, even with a 5-speed. So I'm going to tell you right now, you get it on the highway, 70 miles an hour is about right where it likes to be. You try to go any higher than that, it's just going to keep its revs high. I'd prefer if it had 352s in it, because I had some versions of this car. I had 82, like I said, 83, and this had 342s or 352s. What a nice highway gear set. But you know, 84 and 85 Toyota Celicas, they were trying to make them more sportier. They were trying to make them better, and they did improve a lot. Comparing the 82s and the 83s, you can definitely feel that this car feels a little teeny bit heavier. Feels like it's a little better insulated, a lot better quality than the 82, 83 models. But I just like the front end of the 83s myself. In fact, if I can figure out how to edit it in this video, I'll toss you a picture of one of the ones I've owned before. Love that car. Rock bucket, bondoed up, painted up, mostly original. That's the thing, when you put these cars up for sale, they don't really last real long. Price is right. This might be out of the price range of a young guy like myself who was buying these cars cheap back in the day. You know, sorry guys, but times have changed, you know. Is the car have potential to be worth more money? Maybe. I don't know. But hot dog turbos, I can't imagine what this would be like if you revved it out like, I don't know, eked out another 5 pounds of boost, another honest 50 horsepower. This engine would probably be close to around 200 horsepower, which in a car that weighs this much, I think I weighed it. Me and Tommy weighed them a long time ago. I think these are around 2,800 pounds. About 200 pounds less than a Mark II Super, so you got the added advantage of a little lighter, no sunroof, that takes weight out, and a turbo with extra torque. Oh, there's just nothing to it. It's just fantastic. Fantastic. So it's been fun. So I don't know what I'm going to do now. And the thing is that I could get on about all the technical aspects of this and that, Toyota's history. And you know what? You want to learn about that stuff, just see what's out there. Because what happens is you start sounding like every other video on YouTube. You start sounding like you're repeating what everybody else says. But getting back to this manual transmission, I'm digressing. I don't really give a crap. A lot of people are very passionate about a manual transmission, and I'm not. I don't know. To me, it's kind of done. You know, kind of done. Doesn't matter no more. Automatics are nicer to drive, and let's face it, guys, they're faster at the quarter mile. I wish when my Mark II had a 1JZ twin turbo in it, I wish that I was thinking about converting it back to an automatic, because I know they're faster. If anybody wants to argue with me in the comment section, go right ahead. But I'll tell you what, you build a stock 2J twin Mark II Super with a 5-speed, and it's got to be stock. No cheating. I'll give you a boost controller and intercooler, but you can't modify anything else. I'll give you the exhaust, but I'll whip your ass with my automatic. Funny when you have videos on YouTube, everybody's got something to say about that. But I'll tell you what, all the times I took that Mark II to car shows, I had one or two guys who they say something, oh man, automatic, nah, you know what I'm telling you, you wouldn't miss it. You wouldn't miss it. And that car, we haven't gone out in that car yet, but that thing's a pretty lethal weapon. That Mark II, I'm just breathing boost on it, it's probably real close to 400 horsepower. It scares the hell out of me, actually. It wants to dance all over the place. It's pretty fast. It's funny, I posted that video of my Mark II, and if you go to our channel and you go through the videos, I posted a video about that car, and you've seen it in the garage. But I really thought that was going to pick up a lot of views, and it did, you know, being a newbie YouTuber channel. But the first Polara video actually has just keep it. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. But I'll tell you something, I've drove quite a few of these over the years, and all the ones I've ever owned have had a lot of miles on them, and they've been beaten on pretty hard. The manual ones, for some reason, never seem to ever really, you know, hold up. The rears make noise, and the trannies make noise, and the engines are tired. But not this one. When you shift this thing, it shifts like butter. Literally like butter. Amazing. It's just amazing. Pennsylvania, you know, this is an old highway, and I'll tell you what, traffic around here is insane. There's so much traffic. Even the Amish don't want to ride on this road anymore because it's too dangerous. Everybody's driving so fast. I don't know where everybody's coming from either. It's just farmlands out here, and a lot of open space. But it's beautiful this time of year in Pennsylvania. I'm straying off talking about the Celica, but one of those things I've kind of run out of things to talk about. It's a pretty long video, and if you've lasted this long, well, I appreciate you hanging out with me for today, or at least for this time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you hit that subscribe button, that'd be great. Gail and I would appreciate it because we'd like to make more videos. We got a whole lot of stuff coming up. A lot more. We're going to do some clock stuff. We're going to do lots of watches. Didn't even get to watches yet. Heck, I'm a watchmaker and I didn't even publish any watches, but I got a real bunch of cool stuff for you. So if you're not familiar with me at all, my handle's 31 Joules, and I used to be a pretty big participant in the Watch You Seek forum, but ever since they changed the format around, I lost a lot of my content. But you can research me and find me. I've already published a lot of stuff. I've got Instagram started, but I never put anything up yet. And we just got really started with YouTube. But if you look up 31 Joules Brian Lizer, you'll find me. What's up there. I publish a lot of stuff to Sweep Hands blog, which is a guy over in England I've become real good friends with. I publish a lot of stuff for his website, and if you like watches, go check it out because it's pretty darn cool. I specialize mostly in Citizens, vintage ones, chronographs, but I do a whole lot more than that. People only know me by Citizens, but I do Rolexes, I do a lot of Valjoux. I'm pretty familiar with most Eddas. I'm a fussy guy, so you got a really good quality watch and you need a trusted watchmaker, you come hit me up. You can find me. My contact information is on the internet. But I plan on getting my video camera out and starting to do stuff with watches because car stuff works for so long, but I haven't even entered the arena for watch stuff on YouTube. I know there are some guys that are doing pretty good. I don't know how many of them are truly professional, certified watchmakers like myself, but they're doing good. So I haven't thrown my hat into the ring yet, but I got quite an interesting collection of cool stuff to show you. I don't know that I'm going to be making any videos about, you know, actually showing the watch being taken apart, but I'm going to do something along the lines like something different and course, it's almost rush hour traffic. So much traffic. Oh, I feel like I live close to New York. So anyway, I think I'm going to cut this video right here before I get back to my house. I do appreciate you stopping by, seeing me again. I'll catch you later. Shut up. My dog was barking at somebody running along the road. I tell him to shut up. These guys don't need to hear that. Damn, this thing's fun. I was gonna cut the video back there, but I changed my mind.